Join our free WhatsApp group to get daily latest updates. It's totally free.
Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman discussing internet problems and an updated contract. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. My name is Tony. Welcome to NetWave.
Thank you.
What can I do for you today?
I have an account with you and my internet is having problems.
I'm sorry about that. Can I take your name, please?
It's Sheila Wild. That's Wild spelled with an E at the end.
Thank you. Do you know your account number?
Yes, it's W74962Y.
Let's get that up on the system. Here we are. Can I just confirm some details with you?
Of course.
Can you let me know your date of birth?
It's the 16th March 1975.
And can you let me know your postcode, please?
It's WH57JH.
Thank you. That has confirmed your identity and account. Now, what's wrong with your internet?
It happened at the end of last week. On Wednesday, the connection got slower and slower, and then from Friday, we just had no connection at all.
I'm very sorry about that. It must be very frustrating. Did this go on the whole weekend?
Yes, it did.
We've recently had some problems with wiring, and I would imagine it's something to do with that. So let's see when we can come and get it fixed. How about tomorrow in the afternoon? It's the 12th of August tomorrow. Is 3 p.m. okay?
Tomorrow's fine, but can we make it an hour later, as I'll be picking up the kids from school?
Absolutely. 4 p.m. it is.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
Now, I'm looking at your account and there are some things that have changed since you signed on. We can offer you a better service now. To start with, I can double your bandwidth.
That would be great.
You also have your cable TV and phone usage with our company, but they're not combined. At present, you pay $30 monthly for the internet, $10 for the phone line rental, and $50 for the full cable TV package. I can combine those to our home base package, which would come to $70 a month.
Well, that makes sense. Are there any drawbacks?
The only thing we would ask you to do is to extend your contract to 2 years from today's date. Would that be all right?
I'll just have to check with my husband tonight. Can I sign up tomorrow when the internet gets fixed?
Oh yes, I'll make sure the engineer has the right paperwork with him. I also see that you pay your bills with us monthly. We can set up a direct debit for you if you'd like.
Yes, please. My husband and I were just talking about that. Can I do that now?
Yes, I just need your bank name, account name and number, and your sort code.
I can give that to you now. The bank is Pembroke Chase. The account name is Charles and Sheila Wild. The number is 7368 5427. The sort code is 866359.
I've got all that. Your reference number for this is X49. Is there anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Cut 2.
You will hear a woman giving an introductory talk about the Burley Bird Watching and Nature Club. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully to the introductory talk and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this get-together evening for the Burley Bird Watching and Nature Club. I hope you all have your information sheets, which will summarise some of the things I will talk about soon. I will begin the evening by giving some basic details about the club for newcomers, and then after that, I will give some information about our trip next week to the Edge Hill Woods area. We're a group of enthusiasts who love observing the natural world around us. The club was founded in 1962 and has always enjoyed a strong membership. We meet where we are today, in the Burley Community Hall, at least once a week on Wednesdays. Meetings begin at 7:30 p.m. and usually last for 3 hours. Different things happen at our meetings. Sometimes we just sit together and have some tea and catch up with old friends. And sometimes we have guest speakers who talk on areas of interest to us. For example, next Wednesday we have John Walker, who will tell us about the birds and animals he saw during a 2-month voyage he made out to the Antarctic continent. I'll tell you more about that later. It does not cost too much to join our club. There is an annual fee of $80, although there is a joining fee of $60 for new members. The money can be paid by bank transfer, or you can just bring the money in cash to one of our meetings and give it to the club treasurer. The money is spent on administration costs, insurance, rental costs for our meetings, and subsidising guest speakers. We go on quite a few trips as well to different places, but these trips incur a further cost. All extra payments related to these trips are to cover our costs. No extra profit is made from them. Naturally, we have our own website. The site is updated regularly with all the details of our trips and events. There is also a help desk where you can email the club and ask any questions. Our committee consists of 7 people and we take turns to answer inquiries. One of the most popular sections of the website is our discussion forum. Members can start a discussion and then other members can comment and add their opinions. You must be a member to contribute to this area of the website. Once you've joined, you'll be given your password so that you can log in, read, and contribute.
You now have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the introductory talk and answer questions 16 to 20.
As you know, the club is run by its members, so let me tell you a little about who is responsible for what. First of all, there's Sally Warner, who's the club president. Sally presides at all club meetings and oversees the schedule of events. She's also the one who writes the monthly newsletter that goes out each month detailing what we've been doing and what we're going to do. Sally is retired from her work now, and she's always willing to meet up with new and established members to share her knowledge of where to go and what to see. Next, we have Stephen Roth, who's the club treasurer. Stephen receives all club money, including dues, gifts, and receipts from fundraising projects, and he maintains the club's bank account. He also, of course, pays all the bills after approval from the president and other relevant members. Stephen is taking a year's sabbatical from work starting next week so that he can visit his daughter and new granddaughter in Australia. He's promised to be back and part of the club on his return, though. One of our key members is Angela Carter, who's the events organiser. She sets up all our trips, locally and further afield. Without her, our club wouldn't be the same. It's not all about hiring minibuses and booking hotels. She has overall management of all aspects of events, including all the health and safety, licensing when relevant, and making sure we're protected and covered in the event of an accident. Finally, Darren Williamson is the club secretary. Darren keeps a permanent record of minutes of all club meetings and a complete, up-to-date membership list with everyone's address, emails and phone numbers. We ask when you join to give him permission to share these details with other members so that we can liaise easily in regards to trips and meetings. I'd now like to tell you about our upcoming trip to the Edgehill Woods area, which has a number of hides from where we can see some interesting and rare species. So, from the car park, we will move to the first hide, which will be due north through the Edgehill Woods. The first hide is ideally situated, as we can see meadow birds and life, as well as being right next to woodland, which can provide us with a variety of different species. The Edgehill Forest is famous for its deer, so we have a good chance of seeing some grazing early in the morning. After an hour at the first hide, we'll move east across the Upton Meadow to the next hide. This again is advantageous, as it provides a variety of habitat. We're next to a wood again on one side, and on the other we have the bank of the Fingleton Pond and its adjacent marshland. There are also the Fingleton Rocks in the medium distance, which are famous for their nesting hawks. We'll get a closer look at them after an hour, when we go further north to a hide overlooking them. Finally, we cross right back across the meadow and go to our final hide, which is closest to the car park.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3. Part 3.
You will hear a university meeting where the future use of an empty room is decided. First, you now have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, I'm Dr. Cameron. Today, we four are here to discuss what to do with the new space made on the ground floor by the decommissioning of the lower science laboratory. Let me introduce you to each other. First, on my right, we have Mrs. Jones, who is the site manager.
Good afternoon.
On my left, we first have Mrs. Strauss, who is the head of the science department.
Good afternoon.
Finally, we have Mike Evans, who is the representative from the Student Council.
Hello, everyone.
So let's start with Mrs. Jones.
Well, my plan is that we use this space to open a new cafe for the students and staff. The room has large double doors that open out to a grass area and some concrete. In the warmer months, we could have some tables and chairs and some large parasols. Because the science lab has lots of gas appliances there, it shouldn't cost too much to convert part of the room to a small kitchen for food preparation.
That seems to be quite a practical plan. There are certainly lots of people on the site who need food and drink throughout the day.
What do you think about this proposal, Mike?
I had another idea. Whilst I agree that there are a lot of people on site that need to be served food, I believe quite a few people, especially students, bring packed lunches onto the campus. This, of course, is much cheaper and attractive for students. The problem is that, at present, there's no location where people can eat their packed lunches. It's not so bad in summer when most people just sit on the grass. But in the colder months or wet days, there's nowhere to go. Therefore, I'd like to use the room to be a lounge where people can eat.
That's an interesting proposal. How much would it cost to change the room, do you think?
I don't know exactly, but it shouldn't be too much. We'd have to organise the decommissioning of all the chemistry-related pipes going into the room to make them safe, but that would be the only large expense. We wouldn't need to make a kitchen or anything. We'd just need plenty of tables and chairs. Having some outside in summer is a great idea, as Mrs. Jones suggested.
It's a nice idea, Mike, but there is one main problem. Students are notoriously messy, and if there's a room where they can come and eat their own food, the place will soon become very messy indeed. And this will happen every day. The room will have to be cleaned quite thoroughly every day, and with the undoubted mess, it'll probably need tidying up throughout the day as well. Who's going to do all this?
I thought the regular cleaners could do it.
It's not as easy as that, Mike. The regular cleaners only come in during the evenings, and they have a pretty tight schedule. I doubt there'd be time for them to clean a really messy room properly.
And we only have some caretakers on duty during the day, and they are far too busy to clean up after students. I don't think they'd appreciate the idea either.
Could we take on somebody to do it?
Who's going to pay for that, though, Mike? We have some budget allocated to change the room, but we certainly don't have any ongoing money devoted to paying a new member of the cleaning staff.
This is where my plan works better. A cafe would be financially self-sufficient. The cafe would have to take on extra staff, but it could pay them out of the revenue that it makes.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Are there any other suggestions for the room?
I did have one suggestion. As it's been a science room for such a long time, I was hoping that we might be able to retain its use for the science department. As you can imagine, the science department uses many dangerous chemicals, and at present we store these things in the individual labs. This is not very efficient and also has some security issues.
What security is used at the moment in the labs?
Right now, the labs only have deadlocks as a safeguard, and this isn't really enough security for storing some of the things we have.
Yes, I can see why you're worried about this. It's an important concern.
Yes, it is. It would cost quite a lot to upgrade the security on all the labs, But if we could make the room in question our storeroom, we would only have to install the extra security in one room.
Would it be harder to make it secure, as the room's on the ground floor?
In theory, yes, but not in reality. You see, the ground floor rooms already have shutters that can be put down with controls in the room. The room can just have these down the whole time. That, in conjunction with the extra locks we could install on the windows, would be more than enough.
Well, that seems to be a sensible suggestion as well. I'm very happy to see that you've all thought so hard about this and come up with 3 options that are all very worthy and mostly feasible. The problem is that I see that you're all very keen on your own ideas being adopted. So that gives you all 1 vote without counting me. That means I get the deciding vote. With such great ideas, I don't want to make a decision too quickly. So I think the best thing is that I think about it until next Monday. To help me, would you please email me your proposals? It doesn't have to be in great detail. And if you could get that to me by Thursday afternoon, then I can sit down with the Dean of the college and we can talk through the suggestions together on Friday morning. I will email you with the decision on Monday morning.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You will hear part of a materials lecture on old rubber tyres. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this materials science lecture. We are continuing our unit on recycling, and today our focus will be on tyres. According to the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, a total of 1 billion end-of-life tyres are generated every year globally. There are also approximately 4 billion end-of-life tyres in landfill and stockpiles globally, and, as they do not decompose, they can be a fire risk, which, if not dealt with, can contaminate the air with toxic fumes. It's hard to dispose of end-of-life tyres, as chemically cross-linked polymers, either natural or synthetic, are found in them, and they do not degrade under natural environmental conditions. One of the hazards of storing them is that these polymers diffuse hazardous chemicals into the surroundings, which can kill many beneficial microorganisms. This is a significant threat to our ecology, and the chemicals are also passed into our food chains. Stockpiled tyres are also ideal mosquito incubators, as they absorb heat and trap rainwater, leaf litter, and microorganisms. Consequently, tyre piles can cause mosquito-borne diseases like encephalitis and malaria, amongst others. Spraying the piles with insecticides is costly, and it's also almost impossible to reach the depths in the tyre piles where the mosquitoes reproduce. Another constant threat is tyre pile fires. Because of the high flammable content in tyres, they burn intensely and are extremely difficult to extinguish. Applying water to tyre fires causes significant groundwater pollution, and it's now recommended that ecologically it's better to just let the tyres burn out rather than try to extinguish them. Tyre dumps can burn for months or years. A tyre dump fire in Tracy, California had over 11 million tyres and burned for over 2 years before being extinguished. Another massive one last year was in Kuwait. It is believed that around 10 million tyres fueled the fire, which specialists struggled to control. Hundreds of firefighters, as well as soldiers and employees of the Kuwait Oil Company, took part in the efforts to extinguish the blaze. The fire was so great that it is reported that it could even be spotted by satellite cameras.
You now have some time to look at questions. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions.
A new and alternative method of extinguishing a tyre fire is to use liquid nitrogen. A hose, insulated in order to keep the nitrogen sufficiently cold, expels a stream of liquid nitrogen through a nozzle which is directed onto the burning tyres. When the liquid nitrogen hits the hot surface of the tyres, it immediately evaporates and expands by a factor of about 900 to form a ball of non-combustible nitrogen gas. That ball of gas immediately extinguishes the fire by preventing oxygen from reaching the burning tyres. The liquid nitrogen cannot explode nor cause any other hazardous actions. It simply extinguishes the fire. In addition, as a further benefit, the temperature of the top of the burning tyres is immediately lowered, reducing the expulsion of any toxic gases. Finally, using liquid nitrogen in this way produces nothing else, so the act of extinguishing the fire will not further contaminate the fire site. If waste tyres are in good condition, they can be remoulded and put back on the road as retreads. However, if they're not in good condition, traditionally it's been hard to do something with end-of-life tyres. There is now, though, a new technology that exploits the nanoparticles in the rubber from recycled tyres to produce recycled tyre products. These include products designed for both indoor and outdoor use, and for construction materials. Treating the products with colours and additives means they can be tailored to individual requirements. The end product is durable and prevents corrosion, which means that the applications are widespread. Once they have fulfilled their purpose, they can then be 100% recycled. This new rubber material is extremely tough and is easy to clean. The products made from it are stronger than composite materials and impervious to water and ultraviolet resistant, which makes the products perfect for floors, trailers, tiles, wood replacement for building, ports, and extreme condition environments. Other uses include a children's playground, running tracks, artificial sports pitches, fuel for cement kilns, carpet underlay, equestrian arenas and flooring.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.